Before we jump into it, I like to just open with a prayer, and just my prayer is for all of us that we are protected together, that we benefit each other, that we're filled with light and love and guided, by great spirit. As teacher, as student, we share in the teaching, and that's the magic. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. This self-science is sacred science, and it is pertinent information for each one of us. This is all about you, and it's understanding yourself on a deeper level. So we've studied in our life about all different subjects through school, but the subject of self is so important and it's overlooked in our curriculum. And so I'm so happy that we get to gather around these beautiful teachings that have been passed down through the ages by mystics, by sages, by yogis, by shamans, by meditators, by beings who have taken the deep dive. And so we honor all of them, and they paved the way. So grateful to be able to hold this information, to share this information. And I think the true meaning of the gospel is this good information, this good news about yourself, about who you are and what your relationship is with all things. That you're already whole, you're already complete, you're already everything that you need to be. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, we had someone else just jumping in and joining us. So you're welcome to come off of mute. We're greeting each other. If you just are new getting on here, you're welcome to just say your name, where you're tuning in from, and just hi. You're welcome to greet everybody.
Hi everyone, my name is Sway. I am tuning in from Miami, Florida, and super excited to learn more about this breathwork magic. Thank you.
Wonderful, Sway. So nice to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm Natalie, joining from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So nice to see you. This is cool doing things on Zoom. I'm still new on Zoom. I've done some meetings, and I took a couple YouTube crash courses, so I'm able to do some music sharing, screen sharing, and but it's great to be able to see everybody and be able to be virtual. So this is pretty awesome, the technology. Right. So as we're tuning in to, maybe a few more people might join in. We're just about 7:45, so 15 minutes in. So let's start with some deep breaths. Okay. So if you can sit up in a nice, comfortable, posture with a straight spine, we are. And if also, once you've greeted everyone, if you want to go back to muting yourself, that will help just to keep the echoing and the noise down on the line. But let's go ahead and just sit and start to breathe. Okay, we're not going to get into anything technical yet, but just moving your breath, deep rhythmic inhales and exhales. If you can breathe through your nose and the swara or the nasal passage is open, great. But if not, breathe however you can, just to expand your body with the oxygen and the energy, and then exhale, squeeze. A firm exhale empties out. A firm inhale brings that energy in. We'll just sit for the next just a few minutes and take some rhythmic deep breaths. This is always a wonderful way as we join as a group to unify the field and to clear the energy of the day. So rich inhales and exhales. You're welcome to close your eyes. Eyes open or closed is fine, but just tuning in. Trying to just go in full inhale, stretch. Exhale, squeeze. moving your breath powerfully, richly. Feel the quality of each inhale and exhale. Let all of your awareness rest in your breath. It's very mechanical. Inhale, stretching your body open, flaring your nostrils, opening your rib cage and diaphragm. Exhale, squeezing the core, emptying by compressing, squeezing the body, emptying the lungs all the way completely. So mechanically pumping your breath all the way in, all the way out. You might feel your body heating up. You might feel kind of like a little bit of like a tingling if you're as you're getting the energy and oxygen stimulated through your system. And so just keep going. Relax the neck, relax the face, relax the eyes. Feeling a little lightheaded, a little tingling, a little high. All these are good signs that you're doing it right. This is an expansion of your subtle body. As you breathe, you're building interior pressurization, and the energy begins to press the blood with some internal pressure. It pushes it deeper into the capillary beds. You start to feel the tingling, especially as you're pumping your core with the breath. So keep moving the breath just a little bit longer. This is going to set us up to really be able to be more present, to be able to absorb more of the information, to connect more profoundly with each other in this moment. Even virtually, we will be in the right space to connect. All of us focusing our energy, our attention together. We bring so much into the space. So thank you so much. Keep breathing, deep rhythmic breaths. Notice if you're a chest breather, which is okay. Try to breathe deeper into your belly. Put more pressure down into the lower area of the body. As you feel the inhale expand your body, try to put the pressure down into your diaphragm, into your abdomen, and feel that diaphragm soften and expand. This is a very powerful way to unlock the nervous system, quiet the mind, and build your internal energy charge. Now we can slow down the breathing, and as you inhale, hold your inhale for a few moments. So inhale, filling all the way up, and then just hold. Just a few moments staying in the expanded state. This is called Antar Kumbhak in yoga, internal breath retention. You just hold for a moment. Continue opening like you're trying to suck in more. Even if you can't bring any more, you've reached the maximum volume. Keep the airway open. Your body is like elastic and it does stretch, especially as you hold the pressure and intention. You're slowly opening up, stretching your lung tissue, stretching the fascia and musculature around the lungs. We call the pleural cavity. And so exhale slowly and thoroughly, squeeze, and then at the bottom of the exhale, when you're empty, squeeze and hold your core and pelvic floor tight. Feel that you're really gripping with the core. Squeeze, 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 hold it. Soften your neck, lengthen the spine. Swallow down any saliva or pressure that may be in the head or throat. Inhale in all the way, filling up. Holding. Exhale thoroughly, squeeze. Hold the exhale, tighten your core. Get even emptier. See if you can tuck your chin slightly, pull the belly in, draw the pelvic floor up, and feel that vibration inside your body. In Qigong, they call that vibration the bubbling spring. You begin to feel it all the way down through your legs and feet. The feet and legs are our roots. It starts in the hips. And then go ahead and resume natural breathing. A couple of deep breaths in and out through the nose. We're going to do a couple of exhales through the mouth with the sound Ha, H-A-W. This is one of the 6 healing sounds from the Taoist internal alchemy, internal metaphysical practices, energy practices, Qigong, Taoism. And so as we exhale from the heart, it's to vent heat, stress, and static from the field. So it sounds like this. We do a big inhale together. Exhale. And so try to draw it out as long as you can. We're going to do several of them just like that. Just 2 more. Big full breath into your heart, stretch your rib cage, stretch your lungs, and then see if you can feel that resonance, that ha sound in the heart space. Again, inhale, filling up. Good. Again, just swallow down and just sit and feel your inner space. We can sit with a gentle smile, radiating that smile energy into your organs, into your inner body. Soften your neck, your eyes, your shoulders. Excellent. So you can feel how nice that already feels. In just a few minutes of deep rhythmic breathing, we've already opened up the nervous system, cleared some of the energy that was lingering in the field as contractions, as busyness or mental complex, where the mind loops in the same thought patterns. It happens to all of us because we're collective consciousness. So learning how to unwind ourselves, we're like an instrument that needs to be tuned. And so you gain these internal arts, these internal skills that that give you the ability to fine tune your mind and body, to keep it in the state that's favorable so that you feel good, that your personal atmosphere is a pleasant place to inhabit. So thank you very much for breathing with me. It's always an honor to connect in that way in the stillness of our being with the breath, beyond the mind, beyond the words, just in that connection to breath. We live in an ocean of energy. The entire universe is a field of charged plasma. We're taught that it's empty space. Now, when we look at the physical reality, there's nothing to report in empty space. Although science has gotten to where now we're understanding that it is a field of charged plasma. And so this field, this ocean of energy, is the quantum field. It is the source field. This field of energy, like fish swimming through the ocean, is all around us. It permeates and pervades everything. Everything is supported by it. When we breathe in, not only are we taking in oxygen, so this is what we're taught in school in medical science, is that when you inhale, you're filling your lungs with oxygen, and other gases. There's this like a blend of gases, but really the primary one is oxygen as we inhale, and as we exhale, we're releasing carbon dioxide out, right? And so inhaling oxygen, exhaling carbon dioxide, but there's much more to the breath. The subtle quality of the breath is prana, is chi, is bioenergy. And so this life force energy, all of those names that I just mentioned are synonymous. So there's no difference between chi, prana, bioenergy, life force. We can use those names interchangeably. And really, it's because we have had all of these cultures, wisdom cultures, that were separated by continents, by oceans. And now we're at a day and age where we have the internet. We have access to learn from all of these beautiful cultures that have held, as wisdom cultures, held this information. And so the beautiful thing is now, we get to learn from all of them and recognizing that they're all talking about the same thing, which is the self, which is consciousness, which is spirit. And so I love this analogy of the 5 blind men in a room. They're all in the different parts of the room, and there's an object in the center of the room, and they're instructed to go to the center of the room. And they're blind, so they have to feel, and with their hands, and one of them says, oh, the object is long and smooth and feels like stone. Another one goes up and says, oh, it feels like a big immovable wall. Another one goes up and is hugging like this and says, wow, it feels like the base of a tree. Another one reaches up and grabs something like that and it feels like a rope, and so they describe it like a rope. But all of them were talking about the elephant. So it was an elephant in the center of the room, and it was too big for any one of them to be able to perceive the entire thing. And so from their limited perspective, they described what they were experiencing. And as we're opening ourselves to the cross-cultural wisdom teachings from around the world, this is a way for us to unite all wisdom cultures and to cherry pick the best and really see that there's all these beautiful overlaps. And the more perspectives that we incorporate in our view, the more we understand the elephant in the room, which is Great Spirit. So I love that analogy. Okay, so I want to go into a little bit of breath basics. This is, and then we'll go into more metaphysical teachings. Tonight, the intention is to give you guys a ton of value. I don't expect any of you to memorize everything, although I am recording and you will be able to review this at any point if you like. I'm going to publish it on YouTube. Now, the breath basics are really, each one of us is breathing all day long, right? And so we don't have to think about it. We don't have to think about beating our heart. We don't have to think about digesting our food. It's something that's done automatically. So when we bring our conscious attention to the breath, the quality of our breath changes. And we can also create a different rhythm, a different pattern, a different way of breathing. So we say like a manual override, or, like for example, in normal day in, day out breathing, like if you're running, you'll breathe harder. If you're sitting, you'll breathe slower. If you're sleeping, you breathe a certain way. Well, we have many different ways that we breathe. And each of these ways is called a breath signature. Breath signature really is like you breathing in a particular pattern and it also the breath is coming from a particular place in your body. Like sometimes it's a shallow mouth breath from the upper chest, sometimes it's a deep belly breath through the nose. We breathe with our emotions. So every emotional state has a different breath signature. So if you've got anxiety, your breathing is going to be in a very specific way. If you're really happy, your breathing will also be in another specific way. If you're turned on, you're horny, your breathing changes and it's in another way. But every different way that we breathe creates a different effect. Now, we've seen some of these things like cymatics. Some of you maybe have heard of this. Cymatics is where they vibrate sand on a plate and it creates a different geometry. And so the geometry as the tone or the vibration changes, then so does the geometric pattern that creates. Now on a sand plate, that's creating in 2 dimensions, but when we're um, when we're breathing, we're creating it in a 3 dimensional, because our plasma field, our body, our energy is a holographic field around us. And so as we're breathing in a specific way, we're creating resonance and vibration. And so that breathing creates an emotion and also creates a whole cascade of glandular and physical effects within our body. And so if you're breathing in a way that is, correspondent with stress or anxiety, then you're going to have the geometry of your vibration creating a denser, lower type of field effect. And if you're breathing in a way that's a breath for wellness, like a slow, deep belly breath, then the field geometry within your being changes, and you're holding a higher vibration, a more complex geometry, which is nourishing you on so many more levels. And so it's very cool that we can change the way that we're breathing and change or alter, we could say alter our state of consciousness. So all of us enjoy, I guess, altering our state of consciousness. Everybody's doing it with different things. We can alter our state with food. We can alter our state with, different nutritional supplements, with any number of plant medicines, any number of pharmaceutical medicines, alcohol, cigarettes. All of these things are altering our state. And when we get stuck in stress states, when our mind is going in a certain way, it becomes a bit torturous. And we want to change our state to feel better. Every single human being has a desire, a need to feel good. We all want to feel good. We all want to experience pleasure, joy. And so we will alter our state, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, will alter our state to escape sometimes the stress, the monotony of being in a perpetual state. And so when we learn to alter our state naturally through body, mind, spiritual disciplines, it's a wonderful thing because you can continually optimize your inner state, which then your resonance creates a beautiful personal atmosphere. Your aura, we can also call as a personal atmosphere. And so the aura can be healthy or it can be sick. It can be contracted and weak or it can be strong and robust. And when our bubble is full and robust and expansive, we feel fearless, we feel connected, we feel a zest for life, we feel more connected to everyone and everything. And so all of our relationships are enhanced. Everything that we do, we have more power, more zest behind it. And so, my goal tonight is to really bring light to that and to share lots of self-science, lots of information that will, begin to give you this mental gold. And some of you have many of these pieces, but maybe the way that I'll paint it will give you some new insights. And so thank you for doing the journey with me tonight. And we will take breaks at different points along the way. I know that, we're not machines. We have to take bathroom breaks, water breaks, stretch breaks, and all that kind of stuff. So we will take some breaks. But I want to dive in a little bit more now to the breath basics. So we said 21,700 breaths per day on average. So isn't that pretty amazing, right? This is passed in through yoga wisdom. I didn't personally count, but I'm trusting the yoga wisdom. 21,700 breaths per day. I'm sure scientifically we could look it up. I know there's machine data and biofeedback that you know, confirm that. But 21,700 breaths per day. So now when we're stressed out, the breathing rate speeds up. Okay, like 15 to 20 breaths per minute is a pretty fast-paced breathing. That's a real stress breath. Unless we're doing like heavy exercise or something like that, we really want to breathe much slower, deeper, slower. Breathing fast doesn't mean more oxygen. Chest breathing is actually a very bad habit that 90% of our adults are doing. So these numbers all correspond with like the disease patterns in humanity. So 90% of disease is caused by stress. Stress is the breath signature of stress is chest breathing, mouth breathing, chest breathing. And so give me one moment here. I think someone's having a hard time getting logged in. Let me just see. Okay, no, we're good. Okay. So 21,700 breaths per day. So 15 to 20 is pretty stressful. 10 to 15 breaths per minute is more optimal. That's a healthier person. Now, if you're doing like a pranayama practice, yoga, qigong, some kind of practice to meditate, to slow down your breath, you're going to be lower. You're going to be like 6 to 12 breaths. All of us being in 6 to 12 breaths per minute means that our nervous system is relaxed, we're grounded, our breath is deep and rhythmic and rich. Our body's going to have a robust immune system. And so slow, deep breaths. Now, there's a lot of science that they've done experiments where people who are breathing in and out of their mouth, they show that the health deteriorates very quickly. So if we observe animals, and I love the Taoist culture because they just observe nature to really gain a lot of the wisdom and insights. But if we observe animals, animals typically are breathing in and out through their nose. Unless an animal is sick or overheated, like a dog will pant from the mouth when they're overheated. But unless an animal is sick or overheated, they breathe, or obese, that's the other one, will breathe through the nose. So nose breathing is the healthiest way to breathe. We have 7 sinus chambers, which are meant to filter and condition the air and the energy before it comes in and hits our lungs. And so deep breathing in and out through your nose is the best way. Now, there's some breathing techniques where we will breathe through the mouth, like sacred heart breathing, or in through the nose, out through the mouth, so it's not wrong to breathe out of your mouth, but on a regular day in and day out basis, you want to become more aware of your breathing. And so if we can breathe in and out through your nose, and there's people who actually will tape their mouth closed at night so that they make sure that they breathe through their nose all through the night. And that's actually really helped them to correct a lot of issues in their health and otherwise. But there was a book that I will source the title, but it holds all of this information. Let me pull up my Audible real quick and I'll just let you know the title of that. But they go into all of the science and study. It's called Breath by James Nestor, and it's on Audible, so it's a great listen to. Some of it's very technical, but you'll get an incredible education on some of the science and study that they've done behind the breath. Okay, so nose breathing is the healthiest way to breathe. If you can breathe through your nose all day long. Now, sometimes where our nose is stuffy, right? So it's like you can't breathe. Even if you want to, you're like, okay, I want to breathe through my nose, but right now it's clogged up. Now I want to address that. So there's something called the swara, and there's a whole style of yoga called swara yoga. Swara yoga is the science of opening the nostrils. And the nostrils are the termination points for the Ida and Pingala nadi, which are the yin and yang, or masculine and feminine, sun and moon channels that flow through our body. Just the way electricity flows through an outlet, right? There's three prongs. There's a positive, a negative, and a neutral. In the same way, we have a positive, a negative, and the neutral is our center line, which we call Sushumna Nadi in yoga. Sushumna Nadi is the alignment of the spine. It's a center channel. And so if any of you have seen like Alex Gray's visionary artwork, he peels back the layers from physical to energetic to causal and to spiritual. But you can see that we're actually like a toroidal energy field where it's like a column of light fluted at the top and fluted at the bottom. And so that Sushumna is that center channel that the energy universally is flowing through and is moving through us like this, creating our personal atmosphere. And that's how we are holding this time space in the quantum field, which is really amazing because we are in the world but not of it. There's part of us that's witnessing this life, right? But we are incarnate. We're in a mind body. We have a physical body, we have an energy body, as we call our prana body, our aura, and we have a mental body, which is the field of our mind, our consciousness. And so beyond that is the witnessing unmanifest soul. So this point, the point of awareness that is witnessing through this mind body. So each one of us is a center point in the field of consciousness. If you see me continuing to look over to the left, it's because I have all your frames over there. It's easier to look at you guys than to myself when you're. So maybe I'll move this over here. Okay, great. So we are a point of awareness in the field of creation. I want you to just reflect on that for a moment. Each one of us, point of awareness in the field of creation. The whole universe is alive and awake as each one of us. It's seeing through you, through your perspective. It's celebrating you as a unique manifestation of the One. The One became two, the Mother and the Father. So Father, Spirit, Father is the unmanifest witnessing presence, the beingness, this pure awareness, unmanifest yet everywhere present. Now we have Great Mother, Mother Nature. She's the entire natural universe. So Mother Nature includes our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body. So everything that we experience is Great Mother, right? In this, through our senses, through our mind, everything that we're experiencing in this life is Great Mother. And so Great Father is the pure awareness, the pure being, and Great Mother, Mother Nature, Mother Universe. And so the true Holy Trinity, right? And it's said in different ways, but I revised it. I took my own liberty to revise it, but this makes more sense to me than the way that it was told to me or taught to me. And I won't go into that. I don't want to trigger anybody's belief, but it is the Mother, Father, and Holy Child, right? So Mother, Father, and Holy Child, or Father, Mother, Holy Child. But this is the Holy Trinity. Now, we see the Holy Child is the soul, right? So we have our lower identity. Now we're going into science. This is all science of self. So our lower identity is our name and form. We had physical parents. Our mom and dad made love, and our mother got pregnant. Our baby body was manufactured within our mother's womb. The soul entered the body, incarnated into the body that was prepared for it through all those contracts and soul agreements and the miracle of life. This soul came into the body, and I can actually tell you, I had the memory of coming into my body when I was doing breath work, and it was like a skydive. I was going through like a wormhole, and it felt like, and I've skydived like maybe like 30 times or so. It was even more powerful and like more exhilarating and more blissful than that. And all of a sudden, boom, I'm in the womb and I'm feeling my little baby body. And I'm still in the water, I'm still there. But we come into the body when the body's ready. And so we incarnate. So our physical parents birth our mind body. They birth our physical being. And so we are given a name and a form. Nama Rupa. So name and form becomes our physical identity. We call it our lower identity. Not lower like lesser, but just lower as in the nature identity, the below. And the above identity is the soul identity. And so our soul identity, we have also parents, right? So mother nature and father spirit. How beautiful is that? That we can open up and recognize that Mother Nature is living, she's listening, she's present, she's with us. We can commune with her. We can, in the most beautiful way, we can have a relationship with Great Mother Universe, the natural universe. Okay, and Great Father Spirit, standing beyond all things in the perfect state. We were created in that likeness and image. So to be in the world but not of it. So meaning that on the physical level, we're a human being. Okay? This is duality. None of us are perfect as a human being. But that's okay because we're perfectly imperfect. There are blessings within the imperfections and the experience of being a limited being in this dual reality. And so there's also this part of us that stands beyond duality. And we can access that through meditation, through breath work. And the memory of that, the ability to go beyond your mind and anchor into the source of power within you. This is the great vantage point of spirit, to become a lucid dreamer and to become a powerful conscious creator. So it's to understand what is the superposition of your soul in this now. Right here and now, you already are whole and complete. Nothing in this life can add to you, and nothing can take away from you. Even whatever drama you've been through, even whatever mistakes you've made, whatever has happened in your life, none of that can actually tarnish the super soul that you are. And so all of these body-mind disciplines are to heal and to recalibrate and to bring into alignment the mind-body with the truth of who we are. And so that that light that we are can shine through the mind-body, and then we can experience the kingdom and the glory. We can experience the walking blessing. And so that's some good news, right? Heck yeah. Now we do have karma. There's momentum behind the things in our life. And so we have to work through certain stuff. But each one of us has a unique curriculum. Your life path is a unique curriculum that is set up specifically for you. And there's a longer process that, even though we don't understand the whole of it, that we can trust, that we can have faith, that we can continue to put our best foot forward to assert and know who we are. The more lucid we become, the more awakened we become, the more we don't have to believe the story about us somehow being less than, somehow being, limited in whatever way. And so these are important points because the world is suffering. 90% of human misery on the planet Earth, 90% of disease and human misery and all the things that people are suffering from is self-induced mental, emotional stress, because we don't fundamentally understand ourselves at the level of soul. We've been told who we are is just a mind body, a name and form, and the history associated with the name and form. But we're born into an unenlightened world. There's a contagious negativity and a collective unconsciousness. We inherit the dysfunction of our family, of our community, and of humanity at large. And it's not our fault that we're born into dysfunction. And so the more we can transplant our identity from the limitations of our mind and body into the superposition of soul awareness, the more we can become a powerful conscious co-creator, because you have the ability to source from within yourself all that is good and bring it into this moment at any time. Even if somebody's yelling in your face and angry, you do not have to react and respond unconsciously. And everywhere in our life, we can become more conscious and bring higher vibration of energy and begin to upgrade the reality around us. When we recognize thoughts that are rooted in fear, doubt, and negativity, we can let them go and we can replace them with thoughts that are rooted in love, trust, trusting ourselves, trusting the universe, trusting nature. And so love, trust, and positive energy flow. So to back that up, I want to say that fear is a survival response. And at no point does it really serve you in any way. Fear actually will exhaust your energy, meaning it drains energy from your field. At any point, if you're in fear, it doesn't make your life better in any way. It doesn't help to solve an issue. It doesn't help to create a better relationship. There's no time that fear is actually helping you. It's an unintelligent, unconscious response. And so it's built in, you know, to our consciousness, and it's a learned behavior, but we can overcome it through training, this mental training of meditation, of breath work. Breath work helps to neutralize charges and build the internal energy that it takes to expand your awareness. Awareness is the inner fire, inner flame. It's the light of awareness within you that is the lucid, awakened being. And so when that light is dimmed or dulled, we then become reactive. And we're not able to break patterns because we're just responding based on our past experience. And so to become lucid, we can recognize, well, my past experience may have been crappy. And so if I continue to respond to everything that's coming at me based on a crappy experience, I'm contaminating the possibility of having a good experience in this moment. And so the more we can clean and clear our mental, emotional field, and have ourselves in a fine-tuned state, then we can bring the best energy, best part of ourselves forward. Each one of us has a tremendous amount of gifts, talents, and otherwise that we haven't even accessed yet. And it takes a tremendous amount of this type of internal energy to begin to remember and activate and awaken those latent gifts. These are gifts from God. This is a treasure trove of your heart that is filled with all kinds of gifts. Each soul was created with a unique gift set. And so many of us have gifts that we haven't even discovered. And so learning to break the pattern of stress in our life is so important. I want to show you guys a slide here. Let me see if I pull this up. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so energy management. Let's see if I can share this screen. What happened to my... There we go. Okay. Let's see. Thank you for bearing with me. Okay, here we go. This should be up on the screen. Okay. You guys can see this diagram? Yeah? Okay, good, good. All right. So these are different ways that we absorb energy from the universe. This is a little bit of energy management. This was a slide that I created for a presentation at a high school. I addressed over 700 kids, high school level, and went into a whole training on science of self and energy management. And so anyway, just wanted to share this quickly with you guys. So you see here, these are different ways that we gain energy. Energy is not like we drank a Starbucks and now we're like caffeinated up. Energy is your life force. When you have strong life force, everything in your life is enhanced. Your whole life feels easier when you have strong energy. When your energy runs low, your personal atmosphere begins to contract. We know like the difference between a grape that's fresh and a raisin that's like dehydrated. So your personal atmosphere, aura, can go through those type of things as well. When you're energetically depleted, your field actually shrinks down, and it can even collapse into your body. And this is when we start to get diseases, and also we're feeling psychically attacked or overwhelmed or influenced, things like that. So we want to keep a strong, robust energy. And this is, part of what Western medicine, their viewpoint, is missing. And so let's look at this. So ways that we gain energy, the number one way is breathing. 70% or more of your life force, chi, prana, energy comes from your breath. Okay, when you breathe rich and deep, you really can enhance the amount of energy coming in. And so as I said before, 90% of adults are chest breathers and breathing very shallow. And so this really cuts off the amount of life force that you're able to build and store up. We're like a battery. The electrical charge of the breath, remember I said it's a plasma field. So you're not just breathing in gases like oxygen. Yes, you're getting oxygen into your bloodstream, but the subtle charge of that gas is prana, is chi. This charged plasma we're drawing in, the whole ocean of the universe is charged, and we're bringing that life energy in and charging our life form. And so the life form is receiving life force, and this is the animating force that keeps us healthy, strong, and robust. The number one way that we bring it in is the breath. So now other ways that we bring in energy, we have food. Now, we're not talking about, McDonald's and microwave dinners and stuff like that. That's, those are still, you're going to get calories, you're going to get carbohydrates, fats, you're going to get sugar, you're going to get all those things. That's physical stuff, but you're not getting the chi from the food. Now, even the digestive enzymes, the living enzymes, all those things are missing from those type of processed microwave and, fast foods. And so when we talk about food as energy, it's like orange off of a tree. Think about, there's oxygen, there's fructose, there's so much in there. The living water of the fruit actually goes in, hydrates you. And so when you're eating raw, when you're eating healthy, good stuff, you don't have to have a 100% raw diet, but the more of that type of food that you can bring in, the better off you're going to be. And so it's not about doing it perfect, but it's at least knowing what you're doing and being able to manage your energy in a way that leads to a positive life and positive experience. So we also receive energy when we sleep. That's a way to shut everything down and just let the system reboot, recharge. Very powerful to make sure that we're getting enough sleep. And if we're not, I have a very dear friend of mine who's a sleep coach, who I could refer you to. A lot of people suffer from insomnia and not being able to sleep. Some of it is because of some of the habits and some things like that. But I'll tell you, breath work is the number one way, and I'll teach you later on a breathing technique that you can do before bed that will help you just lay down and conk out, and it's amazing. So that's a really wonderful thing to be able to do for yourself. If you go to bed with a lot of momentum, even if you're caffeinated, even if you're stimulated from the day, you do the breathing for a few minutes, you lay down, and you go to sleep deeply, and that's wonderful. So sleep, sunshine, absorbing rays of light from the sun. Science has now shown that our DNA actually holds light. Our DNA charges with light. Our DNA is emitting light. Photons of light charge up in our DNA. And so sunshine and getting proper amount of sunshine, a lot of people, since all the studies with sun cancer, avoid the sun, tons of sunblock, always hats. But it's really good, get your naked body out there and get like a half hour of sun, even where the sun don't normally shine. Get that energy on all the areas of your body, and it's so healthy for every part of you. Your DNA is charging up. Your whole aura is going to hold that solar charge. All right, we have also earth energy. So earthing, people walk barefoot on the earth, walking on the beach. The earth actually will also take static charges from our field. So we have stress, static, and heat that exits through the feet. The soles of the feet are like grounding pads, grounding wires that help the internal organs vent stress, static, and heat out of the field. So, like in Qigong, which is the foundational practice of Kung Fu and Tai Chi, Qi being life force and Gong being a discipline to cultivate life force. So, Qigong is cultivating life force. And one of the main practices that you start out, the very basic thing, is just standing meditation. Standing on the earth with your feet, hip width or shoulder width apart. If you're like a Kung Fu master, you might go really deep, but you don't have to. Just a slight bend in the knee, hands on the belly, and deep rhythmic belly breathing. You start to activate with the knees being bent slightly. There's something called piezoelectricity. The piezoelectricity is like what they create in a quartz watch. So a quartz watch actually is a watch that runs off of a quartz crystal. So the crystal is being compressed. And when you squeeze or compress a quartz crystal, it emits electricity. So that's a pretty cool phenomena that maybe some of you heard of or didn't know. But if you squeeze quartz crystal, really put a lot of pressure on it, it'll start to emit electricity. And that's basically how quartz watches run. Now, this is called piezoelectricity. Your body is a crystalline structure. Not only are you 75% water, but also your bones are crystalline in nature. And so when your muscles are squeezing your bones and squeezing the water, and you're standing with a slightly bent knee and you're standing in alignment with the earth, we'll talk about structure later, but learning to align your body with gravity and getting into a neutral body position where all of the weight of your body is being distributed evenly through the structure. And then feeling that connection in the earth and breathing with the earth is a powerful way to vent heat, stress, and static out. And we have two types of roots. The heels connect the descending channel, which is venting. And then the ball of the foot and the arch of the foot are called the nourishing root, which draws the yin energy from the earth up to charge the kidneys, cool the liver, cool the heart, cool the brain. And so the yin energy also very important. Okay, I know I'm giving you guys a ton of info, so thank you for staying open to it, and we'll take a break in just a little bit. Cosmic energy, we're receiving solar radiation, ultraviolet radiation, infrared radiation. It's coming in from the stars, it's coming in from, the whole cosmos. And then also here I have good people, good energy. And so, we can all attest to being around somebody who is really radiant and feels so good after leaving their presence, and vice versa. You've heard of an energy vampire, and sometimes someone doesn't mean to do it or intending to do it, but they can be in a total funk and just be in a real dense place, and being around their field after just a little while, you feel so tired, you feel drained. And so that can also happen. So good people and good energy, good going to the right environments, the right circles, the right friends, and looking at all of your relationships. Are they building energy? Are they draining energy? And learning how to manage yourself in that way. And let's just look at energy loss just for a few moments. And so we have stress. Obviously, stress, as I mentioned before, is the number one way that we are wasting our vital life force. So stress, this is unconscious. Now, if we were to go into the medical dictionary and look up what is stress, it says when your nervous system is constantly or chronically in a state of fight or flight, then that's considered stress. And so our nervous system goes into fight or flight, right? When we have fear, doubt, or negativity. So, and it doesn't matter if it's actually something happening around us, like we're being chased by, a wolf or something, or if we're just thinking that a wolf is going to come. We're sitting peacefully at our campsite roasting marshmallows, and all of a sudden we hear a crackle in the woods, and we think, oh my God, it's a wolf, it's going to get me, it's going to kill me, it's going to bite me, whatever. Then you can go into fight or flight just from a thought. It could have been a squirrel, and no big deal, but your imagination had created a thought that was so strong it triggered your fight or flight response. Now, most of what's happening out there in the world is the latter, is our imagination is going in unconscious directions imagining worst case scenarios, imagining all the things we don't want to have happen, and it's responding energetically. So we create, and just through putting the mind in that direction, where the mind goes, energy flows. So putting the mind in that direction already begins to create a stress. So when we start to become more aware of what's going on in our mind and guiding our mind toward thoughts that are relaxing, like love, trust, and positive energy flow, then we stay in a state where we're relaxed. Our aura, our nervous system, our subtle body open up like a flower that's opening up to receive the rays of the sun. So we want to stay in this expanded, open state, and this is a way that the life force, that's the field of energy all around us, can continue flowing in and through us and supporting us. When we lock up, we call the grip of fear. It's like making a fist. When we lock up, now the energy isn't even able to come in to nourish us. So we have this abundance of energy, and yet almost 90% of our population is walking around depleted from vital life force. And why is that? It's because we're stuck in the mind and the grip of fear. And so learning how to unbind and unwind the body and the mind. That sounds pretty nice, right? And so when we learn how to unwind and unbind the body and the mind, then we are opening up to receive the natural flow of energy, and we're living in the natural flow, and naturally we're healthy, happy people. And so we have, especially with all the things that have been going on, and I'm not going to go into those issues, but the biggest thing right now that everyone's suffering isn't some virus, it's fear. It's stress, and because of the virus, our businesses have been challenged, but all of these stress factors are contracting our field and depleting us, and our immune system's take a nosedive. When we stay open, I'm going to trust somehow, some way, the infinite intelligence that flows through the entire universe, that's also flowing through me, that's telling every cell and billions of cells in my body what to do, how to do it, and I don't even have to think about how to create new fingernails, new hair follicles. I don't have to think about how to digest my food. That there's an infinite intelligence that's taking care of the whole universe, that's also here present with me, and I can trust that intelligence. We're taught mostly in school that thinking is the pinnacle of intelligence. Well, this is actually called the lower mind in yoga. The intellect or thinking mind is the lower mind. It still has its place, and it's really important. We have it, and it's a gift. But we're all suffering it because we haven't learned to go beyond the intellect. And I just mean in general, not talking at you guys. But the higher mind is the heart mind, and this is the feeling awareness. The feeling mind is also the intuitive mind. So this is also the return of the feminine, left brain, right brain. Left brain is intellect, right brain is intuition. So as we tune into feelings, okay, the feeling awareness, the subtle sensitivity, the energy sensitivity, the present moment awareness, we're tuning into the intuition, which is a subtle and spontaneous feeling. And as we learn to follow the subtle and spontaneous feeling of rightness, then we're attuned to the higher intelligence within us. And it's that simple. But the noise of the thinking mind has to be subdued a bit in order to get in touch and balance the intuitive mind. And when both parts of the mind are in a perfect balance, that's the optimal state, where we've balanced the yin and yang, masculine, feminine within us. We're sensitive and receptive, and still we're assertive in that way. And so the neutral state, when the masculine and feminine become into the balance, the energies balance, and it activates the corpus callosum, which then, that's of course the cradle for the third eye, which we call Ajna chakra, the pineal and pituitary gland, the 6th and 7th chakra, and this activates the higher seats of consciousness within us. And so the inspired or in spirit awareness, inspired or in spirit, and so then we can operate from a higher level within. Well, guess what? Spirit doesn't want a bunch of human slaves. Spirit wants to bring about the best part of each one of us so that we live true glory as our life experience. So, you and all the things that would enrich your heart, your life, your experience, that is what starts to come about. It's not like some martyrdom where we, basically have to abandon all of our things that would make us happy and just kind of turn it over to let something else operate through us. I mean, but it's good to clear the air of that because I know that there's a lot of confusion around this topic. So, okay, let's see here. It's I think I'm gonna take this screen down. Let's see, stop sharing. Let's see where we at in our time frame. Let's see the clock running, but why don't we take a 5-minute break? I'm going to put some music on. You're welcome to okay, welcome back everybody. So if you end up anything, just kind of you have a questions, anything that comes to mind, you're welcome to put it in the chat. So there's a link down at the bottom for chat, and you can just jot it down there, and I will definitely open up the lines so we can address any questions or clear anything up that you might have interest in. All right. So we're getting ready to do a little bit more breathing before we continue with the talking part. Created about like 7 pages of notes that I wanted to download to you guys tonight, so we'll see how much of that we get through. We might have to do a follow-up meeting. I actually would like to create a series, maybe have like a regular meeting night and stuff like that, to where we can do lots of practice, and it just creates a space where we can be supported and learn new things. So all right, let's talk about, as we get into this next breathing technique, we're going to talk about the different parts of the breath. Okay, so we have obviously inhale. We have the height of the inhale where it's a slight hold. We have exhale. And at the bottom, we have the empty state where we hold the exhale just for a moment. And that creates, basically like a square. And so there's 4-part breathing. There's actually, no, let me back that up. There's polarity breathing, and it's also called square breathing. And so we're going to try this. It's called polarity breathing or square breathing. And so it's really putting emphasis on each of the 4 parts of the breath. This helps you to create a new wave form within your field. If seen like some of the computer monitor things, when they put maybe like a EKG or something, or showing your heartbeat, but there's other ones that show brain waves, and there's fast waves that are moving like that, and the real slow waves, which like delta state, which is a longer crest and a longer trough, right? And so the energy slowing down. So if you're creating a longer crest, then you're holding the crest and it levels out way up here, and then a slow exhale, and then you get to the bottom and you're holding the exhale. This waveform is going to have a field effect on your entire system. And this is one of the things you could do before bed tonight, to really go into a deeper state. And so to put yourself, typically people don't get into delta very easily. I mean, that's a highly coveted meditative state. Now, if you can do it consciously, that's a highly coveted meditative state. But in the night when we're sleeping, I think it's like for an 8-hour night's sleep, If we're a really healthy sleeper, we might get 2 hours of delta. So in an 8-hour night sleep, we have a lot of other states like the dream state where we call REM, and the delta is the non-REM, non-rapid eye movement. So when we can get into delta, that's where our body heals itself. That's that deep recharge and reset because we've kind of turned off the entire system. And then when we turn it off, it allows all of the energies to dissipate. It's kind of like clearing the field, and that allows us then to come back feeling recharged. We dropped all of that energy, momentum, and weight from our field. So we're going to go into that polarity breathing. We'll do it for the next 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll continue. Okay, and so again, just sitting up with a tall spine, and you can sit however's comfortable. Typically, if I'm on the floor, and I do a lot of activities, sports like mountain biking and kite surfing, running, I do stretch all the time. I practice yoga, qigong, but it's not comfortable for me to sit flat on the floor. So I like to get up on a cushion, at least some kind of pillow, giving my hips a lift, maybe like 3, 4, 5 inches. That makes a big difference. It can be any kind of pillow, just getting those hips up, because otherwise your lower back starts to ache and you're not able to hold the alignment. We want that center channel to be like a lightning rod, which is your spine. Now the spine is erect and it's balanced, but it's not stiff or rigid. So you have like a looseness, a relaxedness, but you're also in alignment. So, and that's always really good. If you're sitting up in a chair, you come to the front of the chair. Instead of leaning back, you kind of let the spine float freely. All right, and so we set our alignment. So now we're going to go into polarity breath. As we inhale, we're going to fill the body all the way up. We want to try to breathe down into the belly, but once the belly's full, it's okay if your chest, middle ribs, and chest fill up as well. So let's feel right now, breathing in through your nostrils, feel the body taking this really slow, steady inhale, expanding the whole body. Once you fill all the way up, we're going to hold it. And we'll hold it for just a little while, and I'll continue to cue you. So let's go. Inhale, filling up. Holding. Exhale, slow and steady. Hold the exhale. We did a little bit of this earlier. We're coming back to it. Inhale. Holding. Exhale. So we're doing like a 5 count with each part. Holding the exhale. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holding. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holding. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale for 8. Holding for 8. Exhale for 8. Holding for 8. Inhale 8. Exhale 8. Holding for 8. Inhale for 10. Holding for 10. Exhale for 10. Holding for 10. Just relaxing. It's getting intense, but just hold. Inhale for 10. Holding for 10. Relax your eyes, your face, your neck, your shoulders. Exhale for 10. Holding for 10. The hardest to hold the exhale, but try to do it. Inhale for 10. Holding for 10. Exhale for 10. Holding for 10. Inhale for 8. Holding for 8. Exhale for 8. Holding for 8. Inhale for 8. Holding. Exhale for 8. Holding for 8. Inhale for 8. Holding for 8. Exhale for 8. Holding for 8. Very good. And then just let the breath relax. Take a couple of deep rhythmic breaths in and out through the nose. Notice the subtle sensations within yourself. Feel some of the field effects, which are the energetic effects. Maybe some tingling, some throbbing or pulsing in the body. You might feel a little clammy, sweaty as we move the energy. Swallow down any pressure or saliva, clearing the throat and mouth. So in Qigong, this is when you swallow the saliva, it's called swallowing the golden elixir. Especially when you're doing breath work, it charges the saliva with energy. As you swallow it, you're clearing pressure. Sometimes you're doing a lot of breathing and you can get pressure in your head. If it sticks in there, it starts to feel uncomfortable, like a headache feeling. All you do is you slightly tuck your chin, you gather the saliva and you swallow like 4, 5, 6 times, and it will clear a lot of that energy. You can also visualize the energy moving from your head back down into your belly. The belly is the safest and best place to store the charge that you've built up. So try a few times. Gather your saliva, tuck the chin slightly, softening the neck, swallowing. very good. Now that was called square breathing or polarity breathing. Now we did it kind of in that square pattern, but you can also think about it as a circle. It's easier to break it down into the four parts, but I would like for the transitions between the inhale and exhale to smooth out. And so it over time with practice, you start with the square and eventually it becomes circular. And so it smooths out. All the transitions smooth out. And if you do that for a prolonged period, 5, 10, 15 minutes, you will be amazed when you open your eyes the state that you'll be in. You'll feel like you're floating, you'll feel so relaxed. And if you were to do that and then lay down and hit the pillow, it's priming yourself for a deep, deep sleep. It's a way of overriding the momentum in your nervous system, where you have sort of like a little bit of fast cadence in the nervous system. You slowing everything down by moving your breath in a different way. It changes the way that your energy, your nervous system, your mind, your emotions, and the physiology, everything responds to the breath. It's very beautiful that way. Okay, so that technique I wanted to introduce you guys to. I have also another one called four-part breathing that's similar, except it's more focusing on emphasizing breathing into the lower lobe of the lungs and the upper part of the chest. And so this builds the internal skill or the mind-body connection to be able to isolate the area of your body that you're breathing in. All right, so as we know, if I walked into a room of adults and I said, all right, I want to see everyone take a deep breath, most adults, I'm going to back up so you guys can see me a little bit more, my body. Let me see if I put my chair up. But most adults, if I said to take a deep breath, would do a big chest breath like this. All right, so that's a deep breath for 90% of adults. But if you watch an infant breathe, a baby, a child who doesn't have stress and stuff like that yet, the most natural breathing is here in the belly. So when you breathe with your belly, the belly expands out like a big pot belly expands out because the diaphragm presses down to vacuum the oxygen into the lower part of the lungs. So the weight of the breath going down into the lower lobe of the lungs puts pressure for the belly to expand. Now, a child, when they breathe deep belly breaths, every one of us is born belly breathers. When we start to get stress in our life, and it happens at an early age, we're so stimulated now with so many things, and including the foods and sugars and all that stuff, but it starts to change the breathing patterns. And so we want to return to this original breath. Deep rhythmic belly breathing is the healthiest way to breathe. This will build the most internal energy. It will ground and relax you. And it's the most optimal way. So like all day long, whether you're riding in the car, whether you're at work at the computer or whatever you're doing, whether you're standing in line, you want to feel that you're breathing deep rhythmic breaths down to your belly. If you can implement this one technique, it will begin to transmute so much of your stress and break a lot of the mental emotional patterns that are associated with stress and chest breathing. So deep rhythmic belly breaths, and you sit and practice daily, because we have lost that pattern. We have to retrain, re-ingrain that pattern back into our system. If we can break the pattern, and I'll tell you my personal story, it took me almost a year to break the pattern of chest breathing. I was an empathic kid, and I basically just felt everybody's stress and emotions and things around me, and I didn't, even really think about it or know about the breathing, and so I became a chest breather, just like pretty much every other adult. And so when I started into yoga and I started learning about diaphragmatic breathing and breathing deeper into the belly, I loved how good it made me feel. I was like, oh my God, this is how I'm supposed to feel. I want to feel like this all the time. I feel so good. I feel relaxed, open, grounded. It feels more authentic. And so I made a point to sit every day and belly breathe. And it was completely like not easy for me. Like when I would do it, it was actually even a bit uncomfortable. Like my diaphragm being like this muscle, like right here, in my body, it felt like it was gripped and like that. And so when I tried to put pressure into there, it was like a tight muscle, like when you're getting a massage and someone's pushing on your knot. It was like that kind of discomfort. But I kept doing it and I kept putting the pressure. I was aiming the breath with my awareness and my intention. And as I kept breathing down into that place and pushing on it, I started to get a muscle on the side of my rib that was like flipping. And it was so weird to feel this muscle flip back and forth. And it was just like tension in the body. But I kept doing it, and I would sit down and I would get the diaphragm finally to unlock. And then it was moving, and my breath was moving deep, and I would feel so good. I would get up from my meditation, and it was like one phone call. I'd run an errand, I'd leave the house, drive in the car, whatever. Immediately, my diaphragm would tighten up, and I would be chest breathing. I'd be like, wow, I feel like I don't feel as good. What's going on? And I'd check in with my breathing, and sure enough, I was chest breathing. And so chest breathing is linked to all of like anxiety, is linked to stress, is linked to mental emotional uneasiness. When you can really breathe down into your belly, and even if you have to take, I call reverential pauses, where throughout the day you check in with your breath and you correct the breathing pattern. It could be 5 minutes. You just sit down in a chair and you're like, I'm just going to focus on breathing into my diaphragm and belly to unlock my nervous system. And this is the easiest way to get the mind and emotions to calm, and so that you can have more clarity, more peace. But if you breathe, this is like the master key to unlock your nervous system. So if you can breathe down into the diaphragm, and it's not going to be easy at first. Your mind's going to be like, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? This is a waste of time. I'm just sitting here breathing. I'm like, somebody's going to think I'm an idiot. I mean, your mind will project every possible thought to sabotage your practice. I'm just going to tell you, that's what happens to all of us when we sit to meditate, when we sit to do breathing, even when we're starting to do yoga stretches or something like that. The mind, the part of the mind that wants to stay in control, wants to dominate our field of awareness, is holding us hostage spiritually, and we call that the ego. And so when we sit down and you just focus, it's not going to be easy. It might be uncomfortable in your body, and it might be uncomfortable in your mind. But if you just dedicate, I'm going to 5 minutes, I'm just going to do this self-care practice. I'm going to cultivate energy. I'm going to relax. And if you build and breathe down to the diaphragm, and you start to break this dam, this energetic dam, which is a contracted diaphragm, you all of a sudden ground yourself into the present moment. So presence, or present moment, is where we open up to higher consciousness. The mind is typically moving into the future and into the past with all of its thoughts. And so when we do something that starts to take us beyond the mind, or slow down the mind, or unwind the system, we're entering into presence. And so grounding into deep belly breathing is so powerful. So literally I kept doing the training, and I was getting to where, wow, I went for like 3-4 hours, and then all of a sudden, but with my breath still being in my belly, and then all of a sudden I got triggered. And then the triggers became more obvious. I was like noticing certain people, certain conversations, certain things that would trigger me into contraction. So fear, doubt, and negativity contract our field. Love, trust, and positive energy flow expand our field. The expanded state is the optimal state. That's a state where we're healthy, we feel good, where everything is flowing. So we're in the flow. When we get jammed up, when we get contracted, our system now is actually going into like a self-sabotage. And it's not conscious, it's unconscious. So as we're doing the practice, we're waking up and we're beginning to dismantle these reactive buttons, and we do it simply with deep rhythmic belly breaths. And it's amazing at how much breakthrough you can have, even in your psychology, with just doing the breathing. And so each one of us is a knower at the depth of our being, but we're not accessing that knowledge, that gnosis, that knowing, when we're overthinking or when we're stuck in the maze of the mind. Almost everything in life can become a mind trap. And so learning to go beyond your mind and into presence, into the depth of feeling awareness, into the nakedness of your pure being, your awareness, then you feel authentic, you feel good, you feel grounded. That's your power point, your power position, the superposition of the soul. And so deep rhythmic belly breaths will work on you on every level, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So you're going to feel all of these things opening up just from as simple as it is deep rhythmic belly breathing. It's not in knowing this, it's in actually implementing it. You have to do the practice. So sitting down for 5, 10, 15 minutes until you feel that you've actually opened up the diaphragm. So breathe until you feel the diaphragm unlock, and then enjoy that feeling of being able to pump your breath. So when I say pump your breath, another statistic is that 9 out of 10 or 90% of adults have a stagnated colon. So colon is like the septic system of our body where all of our fecal matter sits. The average person with a stagnated colon has between 5 to 50 pounds of undigested fecal matter sitting in their body. So when you say you're full of shit, it's literal and it's terrible. And so we literally want to empty the colon out. Now, when we breathe with our belly, if you think about it, you're inhaling, you're pushing in, the pressure goes down. When you're exhaling, you're squeezing up. So inhale, exhale. It's like I'm kneading dough. I'm moving all of the energy here in my intestines, in my core, and I'm pushing down, pulling up, pushing down, pulling up. And so that's like an internal massage that breaks up the stagnation and allows your elimination to be stronger. Your metabolism will be stronger, your immune system will be stronger, and we also store a lot of our emotional charges in that stagnated, dense energy. So when you deep belly breathe, you're working, I'm telling you, on so many levels. I'm just going to read to you some of the benefits from doing this. I put a couple things here, and there's of course a good, strong immune system, better digestion, your libido, your sex drive, your sexual energy, the robustness, the vitality and vigor that you have also is enhanced incredibly for your tantric practice and all of those kind of things. When you're deep rhythmic belly breathing, you charge up your kidneys with the Jing energy. And I'm going to show you guys what's called the 3 Dantian in a minute. But the Jing energy is the strength of your vigor, your libido. And it's also your immune system, your hormone balance, it's all of those things. Now you recover from like sports, you recover from illness, you recover from anything in life, including, all the different ways that we get ourselves beat up. We recover so much more powerfully when we have that energy built up from deep rhythmic breaths. Mental clarity. I experienced at one point in my life, sort of like, toward the end of high school, even early in college, where I would go to sit and read a book. And I would read a couple pages, and all of a sudden I'd realize, like, I don't even know what the hell it's saying. Like, I'm like, how far back did I lose my track, And I'd go back and I'd have to reread sometimes the chapter, the couple pages, a paragraph, like 3 times for it to actually go in and process mentally, because I'd start reading and then my mind would wander and I'd think about something and I'd still look at the words and I was like reading, but that's like, attention deficit. And all of us, because we're so stimulated, are getting it to some degree. But good news is, when I started doing the breathing, my mind got so present and so sharp, I could sit and read a 400-page book in one sitting and have the whole thing downloaded and never lose my train of thought. It really was that powerful and impactful for me. It totally calmed all of the mind, allowed me to focus all of my attention and energy just through doing the breath work. So mental clarity, emotional balance. Emotions, they are emotion, energy in motion. An emotion is a wave of energy that comes through you and you feel it. Now, emotions aren't meant to stay, they're not meant to lock in. Your locked in state is bliss. That's how we should feel all the time. But we experience certain things in life, and sometimes it's a positive emotion, sometimes a negative emotion, but it's a passing wave. And if we learn to breathe through our emotions, we can be more comfortable with feeling our emotions, with emoting, with, expressing our emotions, and then they don't lock into the field. There's a beautiful documentary called Emotions. I believe it's on it might be on YouTube, but I know it's on Gaia TV if you guys are into that. But it's a conscious kind of video library where they have tons of really good material. I recommend watching that because it talks about our emotions. But we're meant to, we're in a culture where we kind of stuff emotions. We don't want to feel stuff, so we kind of, distract ourselves in different ways. But the emotions, if we don't breathe through them, if we're not present with them, like grief, for example, can literally lodge itself into our pancreas and cause us to get diabetes. And so if we can feel grief, it's natural to feel grief, and going through a grieving process and breathing through it and then letting it go, being with it, it's able to run its course, and then it clears. And so all of our emotions, when we learn to breathe, we're able to move and navigate our emotions much more intelligently. And of course, that's a whole topic I would love to go into at some point. But physical performance, when you learn to breathe, if you're a runner, if you play sports, if you, it doesn't matter if it's a hand-eye coordination activity, or if it's an endurance activity, or if it's a strength training, like example, powerlifting. If you learn how to breathe, it's going to enhance everything you're doing, whether it's tennis, golf, doesn't matter. Especially like free diving, of course, you have to learn how to breathe. But so physical performance, better sleep, and also when you're able to unlock your nervous system and nourish yourself with breath, you feel relaxed, and yet you still have a lot of energy. I notice for me, when I build my chi reservoirs really strong, I have so much energy, and yet I'm also able to like relax, go to sleep easily. If I take something like coffee or a stimulant, I feel like too much. It's like, this is out of balance. But if you're already like in adrenal fatigue or chronic fatigue, you need some coffee to just kind of get yourself going. Or if you're eating a lot of dense, heavy foods, you need, that's called tamasic, and this is more from Ayurveda or yoga. Tamasic is like a heavy, dense kind of energy, where you put something rajasic, which is like more stimulating. Then heavy and then stimulating kind of balance each other out. But the ultimate diet would be to do more breathing and then eat more alkaline sattvic foods. Sattvic foods are living foods that are easy to digest. They don't make you tired, but you feel good, you feel grounded, you feel like you're nourished. And so, and then of course, through breathing, you will deepen your meditation. There's a lot of people who will just sit and try to still their mind, but if they're not doing any kind of breathing, unless you're very advanced, you've been doing the practice for a long time and you're able to do that, your mind has momentum, your nervous system has momentum. So you're sitting down with all of this momentum and then just trying to tell your mind to stop. And it could be very frustrating. And a lot of times we'll give up because we're just sitting there and we're like just listening to all this mental noise. And but if you do the breathing, it releases all that momentum, and your meditation becomes so much deeper, so much quicker. Your mind is able to stay really present. So, and then also the last point was fanning the flame of awareness for ascension. And some of you, you know what that means. Some of you are like, what the hell does that mean? But fanning the flame for ascension. So ascension, we are rising up in our self-awareness, and that being a lucid co-creative being means being ascended. Being an ascended master means pulling yourself up and out of the duality, up and out of the muck of life, out of the suffering of life. And so the Buddhist monks, they chant Om Mani Padme Hum, and it's really a chant that's talking about this lotus flower, how it's the seed that's planted in the mud at the bottom of the pond. And so in the mud, it begins to grow its roots. And then slowly it matures by climbing up through the murky water. And at some point, the bud pierces the water, and you've seen like on a pond, that little bud comes up, and then at some point it opens. And so the opening of the flower of the lotus reveals its essence. And so this is ascension. And so each one of us, the murky waters of our emotions, of our lower mind, and opening, getting, piercing up through that in that pure potential form, and then opening to communion, opening to recognize who you are as a super soul and what your relationship is with nature, with humanity, and with spirit. And so this self-realization, self-actualization is a flowering of human consciousness. And so that is ascension. And we can also say as fanning the flame. So we create internal or energetic fire. So you've heard of Kundalini fire, right? And some of you have heard of Kundalini fire. This is the plasma charge that we're building up. And it's also that what it takes to activate our subtle body is energy. So when we build the internal energy, the subtle body, the chakra system, begins to activate. And the fire is the light. So light, like from the sun, the fire, it begins transmuting. It begins to bring light into dark areas, unconscious areas of your life. And this would be a good time for me to talk about what's called the great work. And so the great work, or the great alchemy, is the process of transmuting all of the lower qualities of our character and raising ourselves up into a place where our being resonates in our heart. And so if there are things that are going against the grain of our heart within ourself, like it could be our habits, our relationships, some of the things we might do for work or other activities, some of those things aren't in resonance. Some of the emotions, the lower, denser emotions, aren't in resonance. Some of our thoughts rooted in fear, doubt, and negativity, aren't in resonance. So when we begin to awaken and we're becoming a lucid dreamer, this internal light, internal fire begins to drudge up all of the things that aren't in resonance. So for many people, that you've heard of the dark night of the soul, or the valley, the journey through the valley of the shadow of death. Now it's a shadow of death, so it's not actual death, it's a shadow. So we have something within us called shadow casting. And shadow cast is because the light of God is always shining. And it shines, and it can shine right through us as we are connected and between heaven and earth. That Alex Gray image that we talked about earlier, which is basically a column of light that's a toroidal energy field, is connected at both ends, heaven and in earth. We're soul beings, and we are human physical beings. And so I'm going to take a deep breath. When we all take a deep breath together. Very good. And so that's a reverential pause. We feel the spirit coming through. We just pause and breathe and allow that stillness and energy to revitalize us, recenter us, and bring us back into alignment. Thank you, thank you. And so we're talking about the great work, as in heaven, so on earth. And this transformational fire, this Kundalini fire, the valley of the shadow of death, shadow casting. So what casts a shadow? It's only a thought. So the sky of our being is the field of our mind, right? And so the field of our mind, when the mind is still, so the first teaching of yoga in the Yoga Sutras is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This means the yoga is the quieting or stilling of the mental fluctuations. So the thoughts. So when the mind no longer is moving with thoughts, the clouds of the sky of the mind part and the light is shining all the way through. And so this light is always there, but we cast our own shadow and then we become afraid of it. And so this is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. We are non-dual beings living in a dual universe. So when we say in the world but not of it, this paradigm, it's to where the theory of relativity, like Einstein's theory of relativity, means that everything has an equal opposite. The way that this world is created is if you have short, you have tall. If you have heavy, you have light. If you have pleasure, you have pain. If you have light, you have dark. And there's all of these masculine and feminine. You have all of these pairs of opposites. So with our senses, with our mind means manas, to measure. So the mind is like a computer, a organic computer that is basically measuring and quantifying, trying to orient itself in time space, and it does a good job with that. But when we get stuck in that state, we're stuck in duality. And so when we're in duality, we're always like the drama of happy and sad, of good and bad, of all these things. But the soul or spirit within us is non-dual, meaning that we can source from the infinite field of possibilities, and we can, from that vantage point, bring that energy into this moment. So even if this moment doesn't deserve our kindness, our love, our joy, we don't have to just react to what is around us or what seems to be the appropriate reaction, or unconsciously, reaction, but we can learn to bring a higher quality of energy in. And so if we begin to project like a bunch of fear with our mind, we're casting a shadow into our experience, and then it actually manifests as a self-fulfilling prophecy. So when we are holding ourselves in love, trust, and positive energy flow, even when there's uncertainty in the moment or the situation, we don't know how we're going to do it, what's going to happen. If we trust that somehow, some way, the infinite resourcefulness of spirit within and all around is going to give me just the right assistance, just the right person, just the right information, just the right opportunity, and we stay open to receive in that way, now we're sourcing from a higher vantage point. We're in the world, but we're not of it. We're from a higher dimension, and we're bringing that energy into this world to make it better. So we want to bring our light, the light of awareness, the light of consciousness, the infinite resourcefulness, infinite intelligence forward by being open to it, by the blossoming of our flower to receive a support and assistance from the infinite intelligence that is Great Mother, that is Great Father. And so we are celebrated in every way, and we can learn to be a sorcerer, sorceress. All of these different names, wizards and witches and sorcerers, sorceresses, and light beings, star seeds. All of these are beautiful different names, but ultimately it's talking about this same thing, that we have a higher capacity within us to bring the higher energy, higher intelligence into this world. Not just taking it at face value and giving it what it seems to deserve, because somebody cuts you off, they seem to deserve the finger. But you don't have to do that. You could actually just take a breath, let it go, and then you're not going into a stressed, panic state and getting in a frenzy and causing a crash or a fight and getting road raged. And there's all of these ways that we are learning to source from within. But this great work, this great alchemy, as we awaken, sometimes we get more challenges. It's because we're accumulating karma lifetime after lifetime, And the lifetime that we begin to awaken and become lucid, now some of those feedback loops come back for us because we're ready consciously to face them. And that gives us an opportunity to transform and to change our relationship, the way that we respond, the new energy that we bring in, that is transmuting our karma to be more favorable. So anyway, we can go really deep into karma and all of that stuff and in the great work, but I just wanted you guys to understand that through enhancing your breath, through building internal energy, through building the plasma field and strengthening your field, it doesn't mean that everything is miraculously going to become graceful, but it does mean that you're going to build the type of energy to meet the challenges of any thing that comes into your path, and to be conscious and to make higher choice, higher decision, to hold. It gives you the opportunity to become a master of your own mind and body, and to embody your spirit, to become spiritually rich. Because we have a soul, nothing can take that away, but we can be spiritually poor or spiritually rich. And the richness of our spirit is the amount of light that we're able to hold within our field. And there's many ways to build that light, the light of awareness, the strength of your energy. And what Jesus says in one of the parables, and not to be religious, but just to example him as a great master of consciousness, he says you have to keep enough oil in the lamp to keep the lamp burning all night long. And so the night is the dark night of the soul. It's all the challenges that we're going to go through in our life. That's part of our personalized curriculum as a soul being, our journey. And the oil is the chi, is the prana, is the energy. So when you can charge your energy field up, you become potent, your light becomes brighter. And have you ever seen like the great hermit holding the lantern out in front of him? There's like a card in the tarot cards, and it's the hermit and he's holding the lantern. This is the great light that you're holding, so that when you're journeying and in the dark, which is the unconscious, that you have this light on, that you're lucid, and that you're able to source from within your knowledge and wisdom as a soul being. The sword is the third eye, and the sharper the sword, the more you're able to cut through and to see the truth in any given moment. And the staff is the spine. The staff of miracles is the spine which connects heaven and earth. And so you're able to source from a dimension beyond yourself as that spine is erected by the energy. Your energetic pressure, when weakened, your posture goes forward, you get this, but when you're filled with energy, I hate to use this example, but it's a good one. If you're inflatable, so this inflatable, like even an inflatable doll, right? If you're pumping that thing up with a lot of pressure, it's going to be really erect and stiff. But if it has a leak, the energy will start to crumple and soften, and the posture will collapse. Well, we see a lot of elderly, we see a lot of people with these kind of hunched over posture and collapsed arches, and the body has lost its alignment with gravity because the energetic pressure is not supporting it. Every single one of your joints has pressure. When your knee has internal pressure, it expands the knee joint capsule and it creates a buffer so that your cartilage isn't grinding together. When your knee loses that internal energy pressure, then the bones, the joint capsule shrinks and the bones start to grind together, and that's what wears the joints out. And so the whole body is pressurized in that type of way. If we see some of the incredible things like Shaolin monks can do, they train every single day building internal energy. They train for kung fu and martial arts, but also for enlightenment. And many of them have attained to really high, beautiful states, but also just the physical things that they can do. You see guys doing one finger handstands. The scientists, medical science has actually examined their bodies, and they show that even their skulls and bones are 4 times denser than a regular human's. And then also think about Wim Hof, his ability to sit in cold water, to go into, hike K2 mountain in a pair of jean shorts barefoot, or run in a full marathon in Antarctica barefoot on the ice. He's doing these things because he's built an incredible amount of energetic pressure. Now, that energy pressure can adapt your system to whatever you apply it to. So it doesn't have to be ice baths, it doesn't have to be one-handed, one-fingered handstands, but whatever you apply, this quantum of energy you build, you're going to enhance whatever that thing is that you put your energy toward. So this is pure life potential, life force, energy. So when you build it stronger, and the big thing is, and I was trying to drive home earlier, is the energy management. If we can learn to stop wasting energy, and then we can start building it, it's like a bank account, we'll become rich. So we have to stop the wasting, which is sometimes bad habits, it's stress, it's unconscious thinking, unconscious breathing. We become more conscious of our breath, we're managing ourselves in a good way. And now I want to actually bring your attention to another chart, but the energy management is really key to building up the energy potential to activate your system, and really you start to experience more enchantment, more magic in your life. Okay, so let me see here, show you guys a couple things. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this next one up real briefly. Let's see. Okay, so here, check this out. We are all electric creatures. Now, obviously, in our entire atmosphere, it's charged plasma. We get lightning storms. The Earth is the negative, and the charged atmosphere is the positive, and we get lightning. Well, we are also, look at our nervous system, how it basically looks like lightning. And that's pretty amazing. Now I'm going to pull up another one here. Let's see. Okay, this is called the 3 Dantian. Let me share this one. Okay, I guess share. Okay, so let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. So here's 3 Dantian. Now, I had mentioned earlier something called Jing, Qi, and Shen. So lower Dantian, can you see my cursor? Or no? Yeah, you see it? Okay. So lower Dantian, right there, is the blue dot. That's like the belly area, but it also includes the hips, the thighs, the genitals. Oh, it's not on. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Resume share. There we go. Okay. Thank you. All right, so lower Dantian. So we have lower Dantian, which is Jing. This is like the vital essence. This is kind of like our bank account of energy, the stored vitality that we have in our system. Now, middle Dantian, the heart space and the heart and lungs, is called Qi. So the Qi is constantly something that we're nourishing ourselves with. As we breathe, as we eat, as we get sunshine, Qi is flowing through the whole universe. And so we're constantly nourishing with Qi. Now, what dictates the amount of Qi that we're taking in is our mental emotional state, we call heart mind. So when the heart mind is upset, when you're say you have a guilty conscience, you've done something that went against the grain of your heart. Well, the grain of your heart is your spiritual nature, which is loving, which is all inclusive, which is compassionate. So when you do something that goes against the grain of your heart, your conscience feels contracted or heavy. And this actually will change the way that you're breathing. But it also the same thing when you're stressed out. So it doesn't necessarily mean that because you're, a guilty conscience, you can also just have a fear, doubt, and negativity running in your mind, and it's causing you mental, emotional stress. However, either way, when this area is contracted, remember your breath signature changes to shallow breaths. And so you're not absorbing as much Qi from the universe. When you want to really absorb Qi from the universe, you have to be in a relaxed state where you feel open and aligned on all levels, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. When your heart is happy, then you're able to absorb more energy. And so this is like a pretty amazing way that the natural intelligence of the universe has set things up. So you're going to get the most nourishment from Great Mother when you're living in alignment with your heart, and and that means that you're treating other people with respect and love. You're treating the planet with respect and love. You're treating yourself with respect and love, and you're following that also right brain, intuitive, subtle feeling and spontaneous feeling of rightness. And so that's balancing the left brain ambition, left brain, all the kind of logic and plans and all the things that you want to do. But sometimes it's too much, and that could take you, if you're too ambitious and trying to get too much, do too much, work too hard, that'll take you out of the balanced alignment. So that's so yang, 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 yang that you're going to burn yourself out. So you come back to yin. Be more content with what you have. Be more humble. Be more relaxed. Be more attentive to what your personal needs are. Sometimes you need to take a day off. You need to do personal care practices. That's yin. And so yin, yin, yin. If you're doing too much yin and you're not being enough yang, then you also start to lose energy. And so there's a place where you're balancing the two parts of your own being, the masculine, feminine, the sun and moon, like that. So anyway, so the heart is so important in order to be able to build chi. When your heart's happy and you're absorbing a lot of chi from life, then you fill your tank, which is your jing. And so then the jing becomes stronger. And that jing is like a reservoir of energy that you can do anything with. Now the heart fire and the jing is like water. And so water is like stored chi. So fire and water combine to create steam. Now steam is the third energy here at the upper dantian. You can see it's called Shen. Shen is the light of awareness. It is the spiritual light within you. That's what we were talking about earlier, is developing enough energy to power the oil in the lamp, the hermit with the light out in front, to build this. And now when you see like the pictures of saints and sages and they have this halo around their head, right? This is just depicting the fact that they had that strong Shen. They were able to see and know beyond the reality that was broadcast in the density of the three dimensions and five senses. And so to be a seer, to be a knower, this is somebody who has developed Shen. And all of us have the capacity, which is amazing. We're just not taught this. And so it's so great. I'm so happy that we can all share in this information. And so Shen is the light within. So this spiritual light. And so Jing, Qi, and Shen. And that's just kind of a little overview of how those work together. I'm going to also, I want to just show you one more diagram here. We'll just talk about it briefly. Let me see if I can share this one. Okay, so you can see this being here standing. This was the kind of the horse stance position that I was talking about earlier, a Qigong stance. Your feet are hip width or shoulder width, knees slightly bent, spine in alignment with gravity. All the joints are soft and the weight distributed evenly through your form. Now this loop of energy shown in the diagram is called the microcosmic orbit. And so as a baby, when the baby is developing, that energy is looping very fast. And that's why, from like a little sperm and egg, in 9 months, your whole body develops. And then as a baby comes out, their first, whatever, probably 16, 17, 18 years of their life, they're growing so much, this loop of energy is strong. And so this microcosmic orbit is a natural highway of energy. When it flows, it's distributing energy and information. We have what's called the signal flow of consciousness. And that signal flow path of consciousness can get blocked. And so blockages happen from contractions. When we get contracted on a physical level, that can be an injury, that can be poor posture, that can be eating too much food, too dense of food, but we end up getting some kind of physical blockage. We have emotional blockages, which are like traumatic experiences, heavy, dense emotions, unprocessed emotions. those create a distortion in the electromagnetic field of our subtle body, and so it becomes an emotional blockage. Mental blockage is where we have some sort of thought or idea or belief in a self-limiting thought or thought about the universe, some kind of you know like you can be basically angry with God because something happened, and why did that happen, and you're just mad, like, why did my friend die, or my sister die, or my brother die, something that happened, and it's just created this mental block, and now it's keeping you from being able to connect. And all of these things can be healed, and a lot of the reason we make those types of assessments on life is because we have a fundamental misunderstanding of who we are. But anyway, with practice and with training, we can learn to re-engage that highway of energy and learn to loop the energy to create a strong highway for the flow path of consciousness and for energy to be distributed and to really keep our system young and healthy. This is the foundation for all the Taoist immortal practices, also for Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga, a lot of the higher alchemy practices, this exact flow path, because it's the same in each one of us, up the back and down the front. In yoga, sometimes they will reverse the flow for specific reasons, called Rohan and Awarohan. But however, you can see the subtle body here illuminating, and we really, each one of us is has this powerful potential. I'm just going to click on one more slide, and then we're going to move on from this. Let's see here. Okay. So, pretty cool. I mean, just looking at the picture here in general, you see all these people on the left, some of them wearing the blindfold. That means they're kind of still sleeping. And, and you have some people who are peeking out of their blindfold. They're starting to awaken. You have some who have taken it off completely, and they're starting to activate their higher seats of consciousness. The Shen is flowing. They're starting to wake up. They're, how beautiful is that? So are you ready to awaken to your higher potential? Can you sense that there's more to life than meets the eye? And we can learn to be more creative than reactive in our life through awareness. And deeper self-awareness is cultivated through practice. And check out this. Are you ready to evolve? And you see this bioluminescent being, who's ascended there. And that is the power potential for each one of us. Okay, so we are, I would like to just go into a little bit of breathing, and then we're going to take a few questions and we'll call it a night. I know it's getting late. I'm so happy to be on here with you guys and getting to share all of this. So our next breathing technique, I want to actually share something with you guys. Actually, let me just see here. Okay, so we have something called Kapalabhati. And Kapalabhati, also called like skull shining breath by the yogis, it's a way of, really moving energy up into the brain, that we call the frontal lobe, but also clearing the pathway. So if we see it kind of like sweeping the chimney, your inner energy channel, Sushumna, we can kind of clear some of these energy pathways. Now, energy pathways, guys, there's so much stuff I want to share with you guys, but I'm picking and choosing here from the list. Now, energy pathways can contract or they can dilate, right? We have that in our heart. Our heart expands and contracts. Our lungs expand and contract. Even our muscles. What makes a muscle actually usable is the fact that it can contract and it can lengthen or expand. And so our energy channels can contract, which is called binding. And so when our field is contracted, we're bound into a certain limited mental emotional state. And if we're binding is also, if we think of we're a river and we dam the river, so they talk about people who are damned, or you're going to be damned to hell. Hell is a state of suffering, and this dam is an energetic blockage that's contracting you, keeping you in a state of suffering. So when we can open up those blockages, we release that energy, stuck energy, that stagnant energy, that charge, and we reestablish the flow. And so this breathing technique, is meant to kind of like pump your body from the base, from the root, and move the energy up the spine. Okay, and so when you do the exhales, it's a quick exhale, and then you relax. Now you do this repeatedly. Some of you maybe have done this in yoga. Let's see if I can tilt my screen a little bit. Okay, so let's see here. I can sit on something. Okay, I'm gonna move back so maybe you can see. But basically, if you watch my belly, I'm gonna exhale, relax. So I'm not exhale, inhale. That's a different one. That's called Bastrika. So this is Kapalabhati, and it's just exhale, relax, like this. When you relax, automatically the body, the diaphragm drops down, air comes in. When you exhale, air squeezes out. When you relax, air comes in. So you're not running out of breath. If you're not relaxing enough in between the exhales, you'll run out of breath. So this is also training your mind-body to have more connection, more subtle control and awareness, so you can isolate and be able to do this. So we're pumping the pelvic floor, which we call bandhas. And we don't have time tonight, but I want to get into bandhas next time with you guys, because we're creating internal pressurization of energy. And the bandhas are a way of activating the subtle body. But for now, just know, like, Mula Bandha is the sphincter and the pelvic floor. We could say perineum, but it's pelvic floor. And we also have Vajroli Mudra and like Ashwani Mudra, Vajroli Mudra. These are all different musculature in the pelvic floor. But basically, it's the sphincter, it's the perineum, which is the space between the sphincter and the genital area, and then you're squeezing your reproductive organs. At the same time, you're pulling your lower belly up and in. So you're feeling like 4 areas: sphincter, pelvic floor, reproductive area, and lower belly. And all of this is basically taking the bottom of your body and squeezing it to move the blood, the lymph, and the energy up. So if you think about how gravity will have everything settle to the bottom. So if you had, like, paint even that sits too long, all of the heavy stuff sinks and settles to the bottom. So when you're starting to pump your pelvic floor, pump your belly, you're stimulating all of your glands and organs, but you're also moving all the toxins, and you're getting all this stuff to move up. Now you're putting pressure to move energy up the spine and to activate more of the brain. Okay, so Kapalabhati is said to be a kriya. That's why I'm explaining it a little bit more deeply, but it's a kriya to move the energy up and to cleanse the body. So each time you exhale, I want you to feel that you're squeezing up and in on the pelvic floor and the lower belly. You can start slow, and then we'll start to speed it up a little bit faster. We're only going to do this for about maybe 60 seconds. Okay, swallow down, gather any saliva, clear the throat and mouth. Okay, nice deep breath in. When you're ready, begin. Keep going. It doesn't have to be too hard. Be sensitive that you're not overdoing it on your sinuses. Last one, exhale all the way out. Hold your exhale and pull the belly in. Pull it in. Close your eyes for a moment. Just sit with the empty state. Swallow and start to suction the belly and pelvic floor up. See if you can keep pulling up. Maybe let your ribs flare. This one's called Uddiyana Bandha. Keep pulling up. Good. Big inhale. Fill your whole body with breath. Hold the breath. Keep holding a little longer. Sip in some more. Feel the suspension of breath, suspension of the moment. Exhale nice and slow. Good. A couple deep rhythmic breaths. In and out through the nose and down to the belly. Just a few more breaths, resting in the energy. You can smile, we call internal smile, smiling inside of yourself, into your inner body. Okay, very good. And you can just stay with that energy even as I'm speaking. If you like to keep your eyes closed, you're welcome to. So our mind, Shiva, this is one of the deities of yoga. They say like Shiva, the Shiva consciousness, the ascended consciousness, the one who stands beyond it all. He wears the tiger skin around the waist. And this is really just symbolic. And I bring it up just for this analogy. But wearing the tiger skin around the waist. And so our lower form, our animal form, is said to be like the tiger. The mind is tenacious. And it doesn't like to let go. It gets its claws in and it wants to keep you, keep you tight. And so as we learn to tame our animal, our mind, our body, our energy, we then the animal becomes our best friend. It's like, we want our mind body to be in the alignment of the soul spirit within us. And when it is, we have a very beautiful heavenly personal atmosphere. And our life, the quality of our life is very beautiful and enjoyable. When the mind is untamed, and it's continually got its claws in with the fear, the doubt, the negativity, then we suffer our own mind. And this is really the pandemic that's happening on the planet is one of not understanding and not mastering our mind. And so our mind can be our best friend or our worst enemy. The way you think about yourself, the way you think about life in general, about other people, there's one thing, one energy, one consciousness. We want to make our relationship with the one thing that's everything, we want that relationship to be sweet, so that we are living the sweetness. We're living in this beautiful place. When we do that within ourselves, that's called self-love. The more self-love we cultivate, the more of that love we're able to share with others. When you love yourself and you have this beautiful internal atmosphere, it makes you more attractive on every level. Your relationships are enhanced. Everything you do will be enhanced. And so it's just a matter of building the internal energy so that we can dismantle the dysfunctional patterns and tendencies that we're continually perpetuating. So, our karma is meant to just be something to learn from as a feedback loop. We have negative feedback loops and positive feedback loops. And wouldn't it be great if we became masterful in creating only positive feedback loops in the system? And then everything in our life would reflect beauty and love and be wonderful. And even if we had a challenge, a huge challenge, we'd be able to meet it with confidence, with high vibrations, with high energy. And so, each of you is a divine, unique, beautiful being. You have the power of God invested in you. And now we're just learning how to operate our system at a higher level. Sadhguru, he talks about inner engineering. And this is the same as self science. We're learning how our mind body, which is a vehicle, like we get into a car and we drive a vehicle. Our mind body is a vehicle. It's a mind body that we can live on planet Earth. It's suited for planet Earth to be here to experience the beauty of this life. And how fun is it when we're in good health that we can go out and swim in the ocean, ride a bike, meet a friend, have a romantic, beautiful relationship, have children, try all kinds of food, go swim in a waterfall, hear the sound of birds, pet a dog, you name it. Like all of these things are so incredible. And yet, there's so many of us that are suffering tremendously. And most of that suffering isn't because someone else is doing something to them. It's because their own mind and emotions are not conscious. They're unconscious and they're stuck in low energy patterns. And so all of this tonight is training for how you can learn to master yourself. I wanted to give you the fuel and also the information so that you can begin to apply. And many of you are already doing that great work. And this is just a little boost in the field. And so I honor each one of you and thank you so much. I'm going to unmute the lines and I want to open up for questions if anybody has anything that they would like to say, or actually you can unmute yourself and it's okay if we so if anybody would like to address the group, you're welcome to share a few words. We're just kind of in the closing. If there's anything you'd like to say, if there's any questions, but it doesn't have to be a question. It can just be you know just you sharing your voice in community. So I want to just open that up to you. So let me see here. So,
I just want to thank you.
oh,
I feel like it's so much information. I'm trying to
it's like drinking
process
off a
it.
fire hose, right?
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was a lot of information. I'm still processing, um, but I do want to share in specifically the very first breath exercise. Um, it really took me um, really took me to a place where I felt like I needed to bring myself back um, for a minute there. Um,
Oh,
Obviously,
you
we
you
don't
can
know.
leave your body, right? And it can become very transcendental. Like you literally journey. You go into breath journeys. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I kind of went for a minute there. So it did take me a minute to get back. I think after the very first exercise. So I think I will dig back into that and to get into the details. I know you did say what it was called. I was trying to take notes.
Okay. Well, we the first one we just did deep belly breathing. Then we went to we did deep belly breathing, but we were doing also kumbhaks, which a kumbhak is a retention. So it was similar to the square breath in the fact that when you filled all the way up, you held it for a few moments, and then you exhale all the way and you hold that for a few moments. Um, and so I like to call it polarity breathing. There's a lot of the same names for the, I mean, different names for the same techniques, but because polarity being when you inhale, the energy rises up and you're holding the expansion. When you exhale, all of the energy comes down and you feel it really at your pelvic floor because you're squeezing your core in order to stay empty. You're creating like this empty state. And so it stimulates the base of the spine. This is the negative pole of the spine. So we have the positive pole of the spine and the negative pole of the spine. And so polarity breathing is inhale all the way up and expand, exhale all the way down and contract. And you just keep doing that, and you create more space between, like you can hold it a little longer and a little longer. And I'm telling you, that's the one. If you want to do that tonight before you go to bed, it will just take you. It will take you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to share tonight?
I wanted to say thank you so much, Aaron.
It's my pleasure. I'm so grateful, and I feel like the teachings, gathering around the teachings, is such a blessing. And whether a teacher or student, all of the us gathering around the teachings and sharing in that together and being able to share at that level is such a blessing. And I just, to me, it really enriches my life and my heart. And so it's so wonderful, all of you, to be on here tonight. I'm super grateful.
I wanted to say thank you as well. Today I was fighting off a mild migraine all day, and it's gone now. So thank you so much.
Excellent. Very welcome.
Aaron, and I wanted to thank you and everybody that took the time to gather and create this sense of community and this sense of bringing awareness to our breathing, and so much that it does for us individually and as a collective. So thank you everyone for being here and sharing this important space. I think it was beautiful. It's my first time participating, and I really do look forward for it to being more of a continuous kind of meeting. I think a lot of extremely useful information and just enlightening as a whole. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Doris.
Yes. Thank you, Aaron. As I was saying, well, it's my first time as well. I believe it's great information, some stuff. We both took notes today.
Excellent.
So it's a lot of things that I didn't know. I do have a lot of anxiety, and I noticed that my peak of anxiety is, and I noticed I stopped breathing, or my breathing is super short. So I'm more conscious about it. I'm more aware now, So thank you. Yeah, thank you for the information. And I hope, we can, get together again next meeting.
Absolutely. I will announce now, you guys registered through my website, which means I have your emails, and I'll definitely send something out. I'm planning to set up something that will be on a regular basis. So, we can build on this foundation, and the practices are really, the passing on the knowledge and understanding why we're doing it, that sets a strong intention. But then us really doing the practices together is what will give us the deeper experience. So I look forward to that for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just wanted to say thank you. This is my first time as well, and I did learn, and I'm really excited to incorporate. I suffer with a lot of anxiety and stuff, so I'm really excited to I took a lot of notes. So thank you. And I see hello, Luz. I see you. But thank you guys. This was very informative. So I'm really glad I hopped on. I learned a lot. So thank you.
Yes. And remember, you guys, the master key to unlock all the nervous tension in your system is the diaphragm. And so breathing down deep in penetrating the diaphragm with your breath and letting that area of your body start to soften. And so when you feel that your belly is able to expand with the inhale instead of your chest, you can literally leave the chest down and just expand your belly. And you want to get to that space where you can do that. When you do, that's the master key to unlock the tension from your mind and everything in your nervous system. Excuse me. So If there's one thing that you remember, that's the one thing. Is just really focus on that and sit down. And even if your mind throws a fit, focus just on breathing down into that part of your body. You might not even feel good when you're doing it at first, the first few minutes, because it may, be uncomfortable. But if you do it and you just keep going, all of a sudden it unlocks, and that's a huge relief. And then you'll be able to use that as a personal internal skill to alter your state naturally anytime throughout the day, and eventually keep yourself from going into anxiety, period.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. So I think we are complete. Now, I will send out a follow-up email with everyone. I wanted to, get this party started, and I offered the course tonight for free. I really, I'm gonna put this video on YouTube. On my website, I do have a donation button. There's no pressure, but if you wanted to leave any kind of contribution or anything like that, I just wanted to let you know that you're welcome to do that. I do have a link on internalartsteacher.com, and I have received some already. So thank you guys so much for that. Let me just see here. We have a sound healing on December 9th. That's going to happen down in Miami. Luz and I and a couple of our other musician friends are doing a sound healing. I will also put that information in the email, but if you wanted to mark your calendars, I believe, I don't know if we're going to start that, I think around 7 o'clock. But it's a 4-acre property in Miami with where they usually have sweat lodge, and there's a big fire pit, and it's just beautiful. And so definitely look forward to that. I also offer private sessions. If anybody is interested in doing private session, where we can go into more personal things. And I teach Qigong, I teach yoga, meditation, as well as breath work. I also teach body work, and I'm going to be putting together some massage classes for just general people. We're going to do both table massage and Thai massage. I have like 23 years of master body worker. I've been hands-on with over like 26,000 people in my career, and it's really fun, to connect in that way. And so I think that that's something that all of us benefit from. And of course, when you do a class like that, you get a couple of hours of massage during the course, because we work on each other, and that's a nice benefit too. But I'll be announcing all those kind of things, and I know it's late, so we'll jump off. But thank you guys so much. God bless everyone. Thank you, Great Spirit.